How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to another Path of Exile build guide. It's going to be covering my one-punch Berserker chieftain, who is making use of Infernal Blow and detonating the entire world in front of him. This is a whole lot of fun character that I've created over the past couple days here. I wanted to make sure to use the combs that I had access to, because I ended up gambler carding into a void into a combs. And for being in solo self-found, that was, well, exceptional, but even more so because, you know, solo self-found. Otherwise, I would have had to farm very, very many cards. So I wanted to try and make a build based around this. It is not required in the slightest. You can most likely just use a tabula here and it will free up a lot and, you know, make life a lot easier. But I'll get into that when I cover the items section. The build is primarily based around Facebreakers, and thus, you know, punching things. We don't have a main weapon, and we do a shit ton of damage. I'm going to go run a very quick map to show you. That's an old one. I'm going to grab a new one, and I'll show you a little bit of gameplay, because I know people want to actually see the build before we get going. Let's just grab a tier 6, whatever. Sure, and then slap an alch on it. Bam, that's a lot of stuff, but whatever. Let's roll. Let's show you guys the one-punch Berserker, who has been a lot of fun, surprisingly. I didn't really expect it to work as well as it does, but it's really got some screen clear to it, and rather good clear in general. You can see, you can kind of assume how the build plays. It is very satisfying. I can't figure out how to get the screen-wide explosions just yet, but that will come in time. You can see I'm literally just blowing up packs entirely. It is very, very satisfying. And the more geared you get, the better these explosions get as well. My current gear is solo self-found, so average, or like below average. There's a lot that I could really do to make things better. But RNG sadly didn't really spin my way as much as I would have liked it to. It took me like a character and a half just to get the Facebreakers. Cool. I don't have space for that, whatever. But yeah, you can see the build is doing a ton of work, and you're basically just going around one-punching through things, shield charging very, very fast, might I add. I'm not even keeping my Berserker stacks up. It's been a little while and I'm a little bit tired. But you can see this is like, what, tier 6, and we're just chewing through things. Me and getting higher tier maps when I reroll characters every other day gets harder and harder as time goes on. But that is just how it is. Now we're going to start off with the basic itemization. We are using, of course, Facebreakers. Mine rolled 745. You can, of course, get up to 800%, or you can try and buy a legacy pair if you're in standard and try and get a 1000% pair. If you really want to play Facebreakers and they're really your jam, you can do something like that, but it will cost you quite a bit. Now, when it comes to the gem setups, as you can see, there's really not many to cover. I'm going to cover my helmet just next so I can cover all my gem setups here. But the Facebreakers is the main piece we're using, and the most important piece, because when you read that more physical damage with unarmed attacks, that is the main thing that we are trying to scale. This character on Path of Building, which I'll have to open in a second because I'm very unprofessional, has got around 150k to upwards of 600k if I build it correctly and change out certain things. I'll be showing you how to get that high of numbers and how to do some hilarious stuff with Facebreakers, as well as how to scale them. But these are the primary piece. These can be grabbed for like less than a chaos normally. Depending on the rolls, maybe even more. But depends how deep you want to go into a Facebreaker style build. My helmet is a dyed bell, I think I said that correctly. The reason we're using this is the added fizz damage to attacks, so the increased melee damage is quite nice as well. You'll find that as a common mainstay throughout my set of gear. You'll see that fizz to attacks on my necklace, fizz to attack on my steel ring, fizz to attacks on my two-stone, and on my shield. You kind of get the memo. Now, the reason we're going for fizz to attacks is because, think of it like this, okay? Facebreakers being a 745% more multiplier, okay? So, if I have one fizz to attacks, it's multiplied by, say, 800%, right? That becomes 800 fizz, just for example, right? Now, if I have, let's see, 10 to 20 added fizz to attacks, now I have 20 times 800 or whatever, right, as opposed to 1. I don't think that's the exact math, but that should kind of put the explanation into your head as to why Fizz to attacks is very, very good. And I have it on quite literally every piece that I can. Now, that is the major way to scale things as well, on top of the more multipliers from other places. Facebreakers gives you a massive more multiplier, and then you want to stack on top of that even more, pun intended. So on my helmet up here, I'm running Infernal Blow with elemental damage with attacks, which gives me a ton of damage because Infernal Blow is fire. And then I'm running Ancestral Call to make the skill just play better. And it really needs it to get the screen-wide explosions, as well as if you're not running Ancestral Call, you have issues with name locking. Name locking is an issue where you have to make sure you're clicking on the target and the name is appearing above, or else you won't be hitting the target. Ancestral Call, even if you miss the actual swing on the target, the ancestors you call to you will still hit them and still do the explosion and the Infernal Blow. It also makes it so other enemies get the debuff and explode as well. And the main gimmick that we've got going on here is if we hit them hard enough with the one punch, then the Infernal Blow explosion automatically goes off because the enemy's already dead, right? So the explosion goes off afterwards and creates this outward ripple effect and just destroys everything. It's quite great. The other support I have in here is Elemental Focus support. Now the other ones I was using was Melee Splash, which is a lot of fun. You will lose out some damage on it, but you can get a lot of AoE on there. I was messing around with AoE, which was very, very interesting, and Melee Fizz as well, I believe. Melee Fizz, however, only scales the initial hit because Infernal Blow has 2 different components to it. So that initial hit is scaled by Fizz, and then the secondary hit is scaled by Fire, which is where the combs comes in. But my helmet is currently running a 4-link setup, and I am doing this much work. So this is just with basic gear. I think the entirety of this gear, if I were to just cut the combs, maybe around 10C. If you want to be budget, you can do it very, very easily and have the exact same results. You know, combs free. Did I really? I'm a fucking animal. I apologize. That's unprofessional. That was me. But yeah, so that is my helmet. We're only using a 4-link. If you have a 6 link, or you don't feel like using a combs because you're not playing solo self-found, you do not need one, and you can use a Lore Weave is the optimal chest piece because it gives plus Fizz to attacks. But yeah, I'm just messing around with this, and I've been messing with a Tabula with 46% increased damage as well. My shield is another major component, which gives attack speed and Fizz to attacks. In here I have shield charge, I have faster attacks, and I have fortify. To cover the gems and the Facebreakers, I have blasphemy support, I have flammability, I have Herald of Ash, and I have Blood Rage. Now, in this exact setup I'm running, I am very, very tight on links. So optimally, I would have this be 2 red, 2 blue. So I could have Blasphemy, Flam, Herald of Ash, and then I was going to put an Enduring Cry, my Enduring Cry over here. So in my boots, I can put Castman Damage Taken, Stone Golem, Herald of Purity, and then I can put in an Immortal Call in here as well. So I can have CWD, Immortal Call, and Stone Golem, because we're rolling around with 3 Endurance Charges from Enduring Cry, which makes us very, very durable. The boots you've seen before, these are the God Roll ones I made at the start of the league with double life, or double res, double life would be insane. Double res, very good life, move speed, and onslaught on kill. Enchanted with attack and cast speed if you killed recently. These things are incredible and one of the best pieces I've made this league, used in very, very many builds for a very good reason. The belt is just a basic life piece. I would love to put resists here instead because you'll see that my resist panel is a fucking meme. But yeah, sadly it's a prefix available and the suffixes are all taken, so I can't get any extra resists here, sadly. The issue I've found running with this is that I'm using a very heavy unique setup, so my cold resist has gone down the shitter. Considering I'm in Canada, you know, I think I'd have an 8 cold resist, but apparently not. So as a result, certain mob types are just deleting this character, and it's kind of annoying. But that's a problem with my gear and with me. So you can very easily fix that by going for a rare chest piece and then fixing the belt, getting resist here. You get 40% here, 40% here, and then maybe some extra on the rings, and you're done here. My ring could be a lot better here. I'll cover the other 2 rings here. I have Fizz to attack Steel Ring. with increased attack speed and then some life. A Fizz to attacks on top of the Steel Rings Fizz to attacks is like a mainstay. If you can get 2 of these rolled well and you don't need the 2 stone here, I just don't have a second Steel Ring. If you can get 2 with Fizz on with Fizz, attack speed, life, resists to cover the resist you need, you are really in the money. Those are really rare and will cost you a rather decent chunk of money, but would be worth it if you do plan to play the build or any form of Facebreaker's build for a long period of time. Investing into those, very, very good idea. I'm not as lucky, but I have a Fizz to attacks 2 stone with life and lightning res and Ellie res. So this thing turned out quite alright. Could use a different roll here and there, but you know, you get what you get and you kind of roll with it. So it's turned out pretty good. And my Blood Grip necklace, this is on for Fizz to attacks and life regeneration because we are playing Berserker. So life regeneration is very needed and very prevalent because we are dealing with Berserker damage over time. Now, this character is not playing Rite of Ruin just yet. I don't know if it's able to sustain Rite of Ruin entirely. I'll see eventually if I ever get my 4th trial at any point this league. I had gone through a lot of trials. Not very lucky just yet, but hopefully one can manage to get that lucky. That's all the gem setups covered. That's all the items covered. Alright, perfect. On to Flasks. I have my Panicked Flask that should be Panicked of Staunching, but I've gone through another 50 alterations, and this is like the story of alterations, the league. But yeah, no dice still. Same flask, no luck. Second one is just an extra life flask with a lot of life on it with burning removal. Then I have my Bleed Flask, I have my Freeze Granite, and my Adrenaline Quicksilver. Pretty mainstay for what your boy likes to use. And that is pretty much the entirety of this screen covered. For Bandits, we went Alira because, you know, I have very little mana. And to be able to sustain my 15 mana per swing, Alira basically let me do that. As well as, you know, wrong button. As well as the joke that my resists are. I needed that, what was it, 15 or 25% that she gives you. That was very, very needed. So to go into the skill tree, very, very basic overall. Start life, I've yet to find a reason to not do this. Start life, come down. I went and got these later on. You could get these early if you like playing like my survival guide and being immortal at level 2. You can get the resist stuff here. I've gone for the cold res because, you know, my cold res is horrible. Not necessarily needed if you get good gear. That was added in later. We then go up, go left, get res tech. I was actually messing around with using Ellie Overload instead of res tech, but res tech became a lot more damage. So Ellie Overload not really is worth it. I did mess around with it. Not really great. Now I grab Words of Glory here for making my Warcry cost no mana, because when I play Berserker, the first node I take is Warbringer, which gives me mana, 25% of my life and mana whenever I use a Warcry. So essentially, this is not only keeping my Berserking buff up, but keeping my mana up as well as giving me a nice heal and endurance charges. So Enduring Cry is like working overtime, and it's quite great. Words of Glory makes it so it costs no mana and it lasts even longer, as well as giving us attack and cast speed, as well as some move speed after Warcrying. And we are pressing Warcry so much, you might as well macro it if you weren't the one streaming it 24/7. Now, that being said, after that, you can kind of decide where to go. I went up top first. Once I got res tech, I started rushing up top here because I wanted to get Avatar Fire, because Infernal Blow has 60% base conversion on it already. So if I get Avatar Fire, then it becomes full fire damage, and we can start scaling elemental damage to make things more fun. We come over here, we get Explosive Impact for AoE, some fire damage, and then we go up to the right, get Heart of Flame and Breath of Flames. Grab this Cruel Preparation node here. And this is where it kind of gets interesting, because I was considering taking the AoE. I was messing around with taking the fire damage here. All in all, not really worth it. Decided to go for more life. As you can see, I grabbed Quick Recovery here. Got this one AoE node, which was very, very good. If you're able to do a better gem setup than I am, link your Herald of Ash to Area of Effect, and things get very funny very quickly. I'm not that lucky. I went through like over 300 jewelers of chromatics, which is like probably 150 chromes, trying to get a 2-2 split on Facebreakers, and ended up head desking once or twice on stream. So yeah, it's quite fun. And then I grab Divine Fervor and Holy Dominion. This is a nice damage node as well as all resist. This actually doubles over in damage nodes because it's Fizz and Elemental, and we scale from both, which is quite nice. And then Chance to Freeze, Shock, and Ignite are relevant because I'm using LE Focus, so it doesn't matter. LE with attacks is a very, very nice choice. And then LE Pen. Now I don't know if that penetration actually affects because we're using unarmed, and I don't think it counts because we're not using a weapon. But still, 1 point for 24% LE with attacks is exceptional. And then I come down, come over, get Unwavering Stance, grab Battle Cry, a favorite node of mine that is exceptional. Means I don't have to be out of an animation to use my War Cry. And since I'm spamming War Cries to get Blood Rage, or my Rage stacks up, yeah, I can just keep running and not really have an issue. If I hit the right button, there we go. Not really have an issue in that department. And then we come down, we get Lava Lash, and come through to get Bravery, the shield node, because we are using a one-hander and shield. Come down through Golem's Blood and get even more damage from the shield cluster. Now I've been messing around with a couple of different things in the skill tree, and this is what I found to really be the best. Character is only 81 at the moment. My next 4 points would go down into Bloodless here to make me that little bit more tanky, as well as make it so I can't be leeched from. I messed around with endurance charges. I messed around with this endurance charge node, coming down here and getting that. I don't know really how durable or how worth it is. Could be okay, I'm not sure. I was considering going for Life Wheel, and one other thing that I did learn is that you could also go for Jewel Sockets and get Abyss Jewels with Fizz on them. So if I plan on doing another Facebreaker build or something along those lines, I will be starting to invest in those. That is like the main way I found to scale Fizz damage. Most people will use like a two-hander with Tomb Fist, so they can use a Fizz to attacks and then a Fizz to axes jewel, and it just starts scaling insanely with a nice 6-link in there. I'm starting to figure out the melee scaling right now, and it's making me very, very happy. But yeah, I take the 3 extra dex nodes just to kind of round things out. That's what the stat line kind of looks like. Because the shield needs 112 just to be equipped. So I could probably drop a dex point here and there, but nonetheless, it turns out quite well. Let me pull up Path of Building to show you what that is kind of like. And then I can move to the gameplay portion. Paint? Why? Yeah, no, let's not pull up Paint, thanks. I mean, I've used MS Paint before to do some wonderful videos, but not today. While that boot's in the background, let's take a look at my, what's the button? Is it Y? There we go. My, what the hell are these called? Pantheons. These are so effective that I actually didn't do these until now, genuinely. Pantheons are so effective that I just haven't cared at all while leveling the character. If I was going to choose something, immune to poison would be great. Shikari is just exceptional because Syndicate members will destroy you. Not so much on this build, but just in this league in general. Syndicate is very, very scary, so do be warned of that. Brian King is fantastic-ish. I don't know. I have Unwavering Stance, so it's useless for this build. But in general, normally a pretty good go-to. If you want to try and trade out Brian King for Unwavering Stance, maybe. I don't know if it's as value, however. Now, Lunaris is going to be my go-to. I should have switched to this a long time ago. But this is going to be my Pantheon setup, because damage reduction for nearby enemies and move speed for each nearby enemy as well. We are in packs of like 10 to 20 enemies punching them, so being able to run into the middle of the pack quite quickly is very, very nice. I have 2 Path of Buildings open. I cannot catch a break today. Okay, let's pull in my character real quick. Let's find him, Infernal Blow character with a big CH. And you can see his damage is quite nice. Now this is on the 4-link setup I'm using with Berserker. This is what my Ascendancy looks like, or would look like. I would need more life regeneration to really sustain Rite of Ruin. So at the moment, I am this setup for Ascendancy. I'm Pain Reaver, Warbringer, and Aspect of Carnage. Warbringer is the first point to take if you're looking for a kind of leveling skill tree. I went for Res Tech, then I went for Unwavering Stance, and then I rushed Avatar Fire to take the fire nodes afterwards. Played Infernal Blow pretty much past like level 15. Worked quite well. Put the Facebreakers on, put the Infernal Blow on, get the AoE clusters and stuff, and just kind of go to town. Now, if we want to really min-max out the damage, I was running Infernal Blow, Ancestral Call, Melee Fizz, Combustion, and then I was kind of messing around with, instead of added Fizz, using Melee Splash, that sort of stuff. But if you want really, really high damage, this is the setup to go for. Now, keep in mind, you need a chest piece that's not a Comb's Heart. You know, not very hard to do. But if we want to start really getting into damage, we can change this out for like a Lore Weave, because it gives you Fizz to attacks. Like, let's push some actual damage in here, shall we? We can go Lore Weave, like so. Then we can switch the helmet for an Abyssius, turn on both Flasks, and, you know, you've got some damage. You got some damage. Put on a Meganords if you want to. And there's 603k damage. It's pretty fucking good. And, like, the Lore Weave gives you pretty good resists as well. Increases your resists, elemental damage, etc., etc. Get good res on your rings. Get good res on your boots. Maybe change the belt out. You don't really need a Meganords, but you can see what I kind of mean by pulling some pretty insane numbers pretty easily. It's all about that Fizz to attacks. I've yet to have an Abyssius drop, sadly. I got the more ghetto variant, the Dyed Bell here, which is 100k DPS less, but that's the solo self-found struggle. If you want to get even more insane in this skill tree, I have the jewel sockets and that sort of stuff. This is like kind of the ultimate endgame setup. I've been messing around with this, cut this left side and stuff. But you can take, you know, the jewel sockets, and then I have, what, like 5 or something like that? 5 sockets, put in here, you know, Fizz to attacks, Abyss jewels, and yeah, go to absolute town. Very fun character, very, very durable. And the screen-wide explosions, especially when you're in Blood Aqueducts, are some of the most insanely satisfying things I've had in a very, very long time. That Caustic Arrow character was very enjoyable, but was kind of the catalyst for, okay, I don't want to play slow characters anymore. I want to play some actually fast characters. And so I kind of ended up creating fast Marauders now, which has made me very, very happy, because it is something I've wanted to do for quite a while. And I've started figuring out the Fizz mechanics. But that is going to be all from me. That is the One Punch Berserker, and I shall see you guys in the next one for the gameplay showcase. Take care, lads. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. If you enjoyed it, take a look at the 2 pieces of content you're seeing on screen right now. If you wouldn't mind, you can click that big red button and see more updates from me. And if you want to go even further than that, then you can take a look in the description to find my new Patreon link. You boys gotta keep the lights on somehow.